Hi, my name is Romy. Welcome back to Star Pages. Today I'm going to be reviewing Otherworldly by F.T. Lukens. So before I begin the review, I want to thank Simon & Schuster for sending me a finished copy of this book. But let's get into the review. So the official synopsis says that 17-year-old Ellery is a non-believer in a region where people swear the supernatural is real. Sure, they've been stuck in a 5-year winter, but there's got to be a scientific explanation. If goddesses were real, they wouldn't abandon their charges like this, leaving farmers like Ellery's family to scrape by. Nox is a familiar from the Otherworld, a magical assistant sent to help humans who have made crossroad bargains. But it's been years since he's heard from his queen, and Nox is getting nervous about what he might find once he returns home. When the crossroad demons come to collect Nox, he panics and runs. A chance encounter down an alley finds Ellery coming to Nox's rescue, successfully fending off his would-be abductors. Ellery can't quite believe what they've seen, and they definitely don't believe the nonsense this unnervingly attractive guy spews about his paranormal origins. But Nox needs to make a deal with a human who can tether him to this realm, and Ellery needs to figure out how to stop this winter to help their family. Once the bargain is struck, there's no backing out, and a growing connection between the two might just change everything. So this is the second book I've read by F.T. Lukens. The first is Spellbound, which I do have a review on my channel, and I gave that one 4 stars or 4.5 stars. So I was really disappointed with this one. I end up giving this one, Otherworldly, 2.5 stars. I wasn't attached or particularly entertained throughout the reading experience, and when I finished it, I didn't really feel anything. I wasn't relieved that I finished the book. I wasn't sad that I wasn't getting more to the story. I wasn't sad that I wasn't learning more about the characters. I just didn't feel anything. And it was just a drastic change between what I was expecting based on my experience with Spellbound and what I actually got. So even though I wasn't very attached to the book, there were still a couple things that stood out to me positively about this story. Firstly, the relationships, which were written quite well. There was evidence throughout the whole story that these relationships were real. They felt very realistic. The interactions between characters matched the way the relationships were described. My favorite one was probably Ellery's relationship with their cousin Charlie. Due to Ellery's circumstances, Ellery was living with Charlie and her girlfriend Zeta, which would definitely give rise to a close familial relationship, which was reflected in the book. And then there was Charlie and Zeta's relationship, which was also written quite well. I found it very wholesome. If there was one thing I would say I had real positive feelings about, it was probably Charlie and Zeta. I chuckled a few times when they were interacting. It was okay. Then the romance between Nox and Ellery, which is supposedly the main romance or the main relationship in this book, I didn't like it much. It was okay. Due to the time frame of the plot, I'm sure it took place over a week or two. So due to the time frame that the plot is supposed to fit into, there wasn't much time for the author to include developmental scenes for their relationship. So with that in mind, I do think F.T. Lukens did as well as they could have developing their relationship, but I wasn't feeling it. The scenes felt like they had a lot of thought put into them, and the transition between the way Nox and Ellery felt about each other fit the scenes and the situations that we saw them in. I'm not a fan of quick turnaround romances. I'm not saying I only like slow burn romances, because sometimes slow burn take too long, but 2 weeks, 1 week, I'm not rooting for that, because I don't believe it. And it takes a very special book for me to root for a romance where the feelings were developed very intensely, very quickly, without a soul bond or something like that, soulmates, red string of fate, whatever. So Nox and Ellery were written well, yes, but it didn't hit for me because I didn't believe it, and I wasn't attached with the book enough to suspend my disbelief. So this is why I think the last maybe 10-15% of the book didn't hit as hard for me as I assume it's supposed to, or I feel like it could have for other people who actually enjoyed the romance, because it relies very heavily on the belief in the deep feelings between Nox and Ellery. I just didn't believe it, and I didn't care enough to pretend oh yeah, this is very romantic and I'm rooting for this, I'm squealing, I'm kicking my feet. I didn't give a shit. I'm sorry. Finally, Ellery's feelings toward family back at the farm. I actually enjoyed reading about the negative feelings Ellery had towards her parents, how frustrated they were with their family, and how they wish their family had actually taken action, which played into the dynamic between why Ellery didn't feel particularly positive about Knox and Knox's explanation about their paranormal origins early on into their introduction. Another thing about this book is that the stakes were quite low, and this isn't me critiquing how the book was written, it's just an observation. And personally, it was just another reason I wasn't attached, but I do think readers who are looking for a low stakes fantasy would probably enjoy this, and if they don't mind the intense feelings really quickly, they'll probably enjoy this book. So yeah, there are lots of readers that could enjoy this book. I think this book will find its audience, and if you are part of the demographic that enjoys a lower fantasy story with low but real stakes ish and a cute romance, if you don't mind a short time frame, then I think you'd enjoy this book. Regarding liking, commenting, and subscribing, do what you want. Bye.